Kickstand, Kind Space, and YWCA Halifax. We are excited to implement this 3-year initiative made possible thanks to the generous support of WAGE, or Women and Gender Equality Canada, and their Women's Program. SAFER, as mentioned, is a 3-year initiative that is dedicated to building the capacity of 2S LGBTQ specific organizations to engage 2S LGBTQ young folks and address the impact of gender-based violence on 2S LGBTQ youth. And then the project is also focused on building the capacity of youth-serving organizations writ large to better include and support 2S LGBTQ young folks and address gender-based violence. The project is guided by 2 national advisory committees, including a 2S LGBTQ Youth Advisory Committee with young queer and trans folks from coast to coast to coast, as well as a project advisory committee comprising partners and stakeholders from diverse youth-serving organizations and 2S LGBTQ organizations across Canada. These groups are working hand in hand to inform our approach, to guide the work that we're doing and ensure that every single step of the way, our initiatives and our efforts are grounded in the lived experience, brilliance, and wisdom of 2S LGBTQ young people and communities. The project is also focused on public education and prevention. And so we will be undertaking national and regional public education initiatives and prevention efforts alongside our partner organizations in both English and French, very much to build understanding and address or begin to address some of the street harassment and other forms of public violence that 2S LGBTQ youth are impacted by. Throughout this project, I am excited to see the relationships that we will build, the changes that will be made in youth-serving organizations across the country. And on behalf of our team here at Wisdom to Action, I do want to again thank Women and Gender Equality Canada. But first and foremost, I want to thank the young folks who are participating in this project, who have already shared their perspectives, their opinions, their insights. And I want to thank the organizations that have already put their names forward, that are already wanting to access the training, to participate in this initiative, to create safer spaces for 2S LGBTQ young folks in their full diversity. You'll have a ton more, and you'll hear a ton more about the project in the coming weeks. But on behalf of our team, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Rayanne and Joselle, for hosting this session. And we're excited to see what we can make happen over the next 3 years. Rayanne and Joselle, back to you.
Thank you so much, Faye, for the project overview. This project is one that will definitely have an amazing impact, and we are so excited to hear about it. Rayanne?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Faye. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest for today, the Honorable Marcy Ian, Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Youth, to provide some opening remarks. Minister Marcy Ian is a devoted community leader and a passionate advocate for vulnerable communities in Canada and around the world. Prior to being elected to the House of Commons, she had an award-winning career in journalism and television that spanned 3 decades. We're very lucky to have her here today, so please give a warm welcome to the Honorable Minister Marcy Ian.
Rayanne, thank you so much. And Joselle, you're doing a great job hosting so far. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. I would like to start by acknowledging that I am joining you from my home in Toronto, which is on the traditional territory of the Wendat and the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Métis, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Thank you so much to Wisdom to Action. And Faye, of course, I loved our conversation last week, and so glad to be with you here today. Thank you so much for having me for the launch of such an exciting project, and that it is. Lorsque nous parlons du travail nécessaire pour défaire les systèmes et les barrières qui continuent d'opprimer certains segments de notre population, ce sont des organisations communautaires comme les vôtres qui sont en première ligne pour le faire. You're on the front lines for the work. We appreciate everything that you do. So part of my job, especially when aiming to keep an intersectional lens on federal efforts in this space, is to support this kind of grassroots activism. So my new portfolio is among many things about advancing gender equality in this country. We just recently celebrated Trans Awareness Week, which was an opportunity for us to reflect on how gender diversity fits in to gender equality. Over the course of the week and throughout the year, it's important to ask ourselves if we are simply rearranging barriers that exist in a binary, or are we truly dismantling, taking down those barriers so that people can lead a safe, prosperous, and authentic life. Many friends, neighbors, colleagues of ours continue to face overt instances of violence every day in their day-to-day lives. We absolutely must keep rooting out misogyny, transphobia, and other forms of hate wherever we see it, whenever we see it. The Safer Spaces Project is really an amazing example of this kind of thinking. It will support sexual and gender diverse organizations, specifically organizations that support diverse youth at these intersections, which is so very important. The part that I really, really like about this program is that it will train community members to spot and address gender-based violence. Knowledge is power. It's going to teach community members to spot it, to address it, and also expand this to other forms of discrimination. We've got to help each other along the way. One of the other exciting key pieces of this project is its knowledge mobilization and networking components, the sharing of information, the sharing of resources, of lessons that we learn, good or even not so good, because it's important to share the challenging things as well, will be widely beneficial and works towards that cultural shift that we desperately need. We're at a crossroads. I believe that. I want you to know that the work that you're doing is a fundamental component of what I hope to accomplish in my role as Minister for Women and Gender Equality and Youth, and that our government is fully committed to improving equity for LGBTQ2 communities, and we will continue to support fully organizations like yours. We're here for you. I also look forward to taking lessons from you. Let me know. Want you to be assured that my mandate is properly serving you and serving you well. So I want to hear from you. Let me know. Call me. Get in touch. I will be and am in touch with LGBTQ communities right across the country. Together, we are making decisions that take into consideration intersectional perspectives. And the operative word there is together. We're in this together. I want to thank you for being such a tremendous partner with me. I'm new to this job, but not new to allyship. Thank you for partnering with me. Thank you for partnering with the federal government on this. Je m'excuse de ne pas pouvoir rester pendant toute la durée de cet événement, mais je tenais à vous remercier sincèrement de m'avoir reçu aujourd'hui. J'ai hâte de suivre le déroulement du projet et je sais qu'il sera un succès. I'm sorry I can't stay for the duration of this, but I want to wish you all my best, and I am sure it will be successful. And Faye, I'm just a phone call away. Thank you. Merci à tous.
Thank you so much for that incredible speech, Minister, and for joining us today for our event launch. We look forward to working with you on this together.
Thank you, as do I, Giselle. Thank you so much. Good luck today. And thank you again for all that you're doing. It's such important work.
Just jumping in to share and echo Joselle's thanks, Minister. It's exciting to see you in this role. Congratulations on the introduction of the conversion therapy ban yesterday. I am so hopeful and eager to see what comes next. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. It's an honor, and we are thankful that we know you are indeed a phone call away, and we value that relationship so much.
On that, Faye, I'll just add one more thing. Second reading is next week, and I look forward to doing a speech in the House. We are dedicated and adamant that we have people, frankly, on the right side of this, and we are very confident that this will go through. So we are moving full steam ahead. But thank you so much for that.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, and again, thank you for joining. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. Good luck. Good luck today.
Thank you. Joselle and Rayanne, back to you.
Thank you so much. Now it's time for our first performance. Let me introduce Chung Tao. Chung Tao is a writer, performer, cultural worker, and speaker. She's an incredibly talented and award-winning writer whose large body of work ranges from poetry to novels, and whose work has appeared in publications such as Teen Vogue and the New York Times. Please welcome Chung Tao.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor and a delight to be here for the launch of this fantastic project. Before I start, I would also like to acknowledge that, like the Honorable Minister, I am speaking to you today from Toronto, also called Toronto, Treaty 13 territory with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and part of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Treaty Territory, originally stewarded by the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, I thought I'd share some poems from my new book of poetry, which is forthcoming in the next year or so. I keep promising everyone. So in the midst of the pandemic and of the incredible and terrifying resurgence of transphobia and transmisogyny in the mainstream media worldwide, I felt myself kind of sliding into despair. And so decided to return to a theme in my work and my life and my spiritual practice that has gotten me through some really tough times. And that theme is love. So this book is a book of love letters in poem format. I'm going to read two to you today if I have the time. And the first is actually to someone that you may know, at least by reputation. Her name is Jk Rowling. So this love letter to Jk Rowling opens with an epigram, and I just want to content warn it. It's quite transmisogynist. So in a blog post that Jk Rowling posted earlier this year, explaining her stance on trans women and trans rights, she wrote about trans women: if you could come inside my head and understand what I feel when I read about a trans woman dying at the hands of a violent man, you'd find solidarity and kinship. I have a visceral sense of the terror in which those trans women will have spent their last seconds on Earth. And then a little bit later in that same blog post, Rowling writes, when you throw open the doors of bathrooms and changing rooms to any man who believes or feels he's a woman, then you open the door to any and all men who wish to come inside. And this is my love letter to Jk Rowling. I wish you wouldn't fear me. If you could come inside my head and understand what I feel when I read the words of a cis woman who's terrified that the coming of my liberation means the ending of hers, then you'd find your mirror image trying to break out of the frame. It does not do well to dwell on nightmares and forget to live and let live, dear Joanne. I don't want to exist in a world where I am afraid of you, where you are afraid of me, where I am afraid of what men will do when you are afraid of me. Believe it or not, I know something about being a woman. I know what it's like to live in a body defined by what men can take from it. I lived in terror too, like you. I know what being a survivor is. I know what being a survivor does. I know about the things we become in the dark, what fear turns us into when we are desperate to live. Voldemort means flight from death, doesn't it, Joanne? I wasn't much of a Potter fan, but if I understand correctly, your wicked wizard broke his soul into 7 separate pieces, drank the blood of the innocent, started wars, and ate snake's milk, all in the name of escaping death. Fear makes monsters of us all. You wrote so many monsters, so many magical creatures, and yet you still don't seem to know what a monster is, Joanne. A monster is a part of ourselves that we don't want to find in the mirror, a part of ourselves we try to cut out and split off and put inside other people so they can carry it for us, our fear, our shame. These are dark arts of the oldest kind, dear Joanne. What spells are stronger than the dark arts? What magic did it take to end hatred, stop a war, break an unforgivable curse? Not an easy riddle, but I bet between the two of us, we could figure it out. You and me, survivors both. You and me, students of enchantment. You and me, and the army of girls and women between us, all of us monsters and witches, the ones who lived. That's love letter 19 to Jk Rowling. I'm gonna read one more. It's love letter number 30, the last one in this book. And it's called From a Trans Femme of Color Revolutionary Living in the Distant Future. So sometimes I like to write myself love letters from other people who don't exist, but maybe will exist someday soon. And this opens with an epigram from one of my favorite spoken word poets, Andrea Gibson, their poem Ashes. And so the epigram is, and all they know of hate is that it couldn't beat the love out of me. This is, to me, from a trans femme of color revolutionary living in the distant future. Tonight, I am looking up at the stars and thinking of you. From the smoke of the fires that continue to ravage all life on this planet, I still see the light of the heavens reflecting. I like to imagine you there, in the heavens, looking back. I wonder what you must think, seeing all that's happened since you were alive, since you fought for your freedom and for ours, with a band of fierce and fabulous sisters, weird siblings, brothers grim and gay. I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have known you through more than the scraps of poetry and story your generation left behind. So many cycles have passed, so many empires that rose and fell, taking our history and our so-called progress with it. I want you to know how sacred you were, how much it means to us that you existed at all, that you left evidence behind, that you lived and breathed and hurt and hoped. I want you to know that we didn't win, not exactly, but we took the stories you and your brethren left behind and wove them into a new way of being. We never stopped hurting, but we learned how to heal. We never stopped harming one another, but we learned how to grow through our wounding in honesty and forgiveness. We developed the secret technology you dreamed about, the sacred ways of loving that can transform pain into pleasure, violence into grace. I want so, so much to make you proud. There are still those of us who hate, who hunt. There are still those who hate us, hunt us, who cannot bear their incompleteness and therefore try to destroy us. There are still those who only know how to burn and destroy. And in the end, it may be that the burning appetite of the hungry ghosts will swallow us all, but you taught us that even ashes are sacred. Flowers still grow from the scars in the earth, marred by poisonous flames. Love still endures. Love survives. Love revives. Love redeems. Love forgives. Space and time themselves might end, and the essence of what we are would still remain in a place beyond reckoning. Wait for us there. We are coming. Thanks so much, everyone. Congratulations, Faye. Congratulations, Wisdom to Action. I'm so excited to see what comes next.
Thank you for sharing such a beautiful and moving poetry with us today, Chung Tao. Thank you. And over to Joselle.
Thank you so much. It was a very moving and beautiful poems, and we really appreciate it. Now let's welcome the member of Legislative Assembly and Deputy Speaker of Nova Scotia and founder of Wisdom to Action, Lisa Lachance. Lisa Lachance is a passionate advocate for improving the health of children, youth, and communities, and whose work upholds values of anti-oppression, equity, and inclusion. I'll pass off the virtual stage now on to you.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to take a moment to honor everything that's been shared so far for this really, I think, really important, really critical gathering. I'm joining today from Chipuktuk, or Big Harbor, which is the colonial name is Halifax in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And this is really where, you know, in a sense, Wisdom to Action got its legs under it and started based at Dalhousie University as a project. And I wanted to take a minute to talk today a little bit about the path of this specific project, of the SAFER project, because I think it gives us a sense of where we have come from and perhaps will provide some inspiration and resolve as we look forward. The possibility of looking at the experiences of 2S LGBTQ plus youth and gender-based violence came about in early discussions in 2017 with the Public Health Agency of Canada. At that time, there was a small amount of funding available. Then it took a really long time to become real money, and then it had to be spent by year end. So I was concerned. I was concerned that the limited budget and tight time frame really tested the integrity of the youth engagement process and our ability to engage young people given these constraints. Faye and I took this potential project to the Wisdom to Action Youth Advisory Council at the time. And I will say that the ACT members were steadfastly clear in their resolve and their support for this project. They knew that despite the limitations, they knew that these were issues that young people cared about and wanted to talk about and wanted to take action on. And so with that support, we went forward and in about 3 months, engaged with an amazing number of young people across Canada. People came forward and really shared of themselves, their experiences and their time. We, you know, everything from completing an online survey. We had young people who stepped forward to convene discussions in their own communities. We had people join us to look at different questions around analysis. So we shared early results from the survey and notes from the discussion groups with anyone really who wanted to step forward and be part of that conversation. And then even, you know, the report and how it was shared in terms of a short video, all taking, you know, really taking the input and relying on input from young people across Canada. So I think that that's really important. And I think after that project, you know, we always wanted to really keep this alive. We wanted to find ways to honor what had been shared with us, and not just in terms of experience, but also action to change things as far and wide as we could. And so over the years, you know, we did everything from produce, you know, some really cool materials and did some great webinars and kept talking and talking and talking about this issue. And I guess I'm just so pleased that it's brought us here to this point, because this is such important work. It's critical work for us, for all of us across Canada, for young people. And I think, you know, I think we're in a time and a place where it's more critical than ever. And then hopefully we'll be able to really get a lot of things done in the next 3 years. So that's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to share that journey, that there had been this path and that already hundreds of young people had been engaged in this conversation, and that I'm so pleased that this will go on. You already heard that really I have a new job these days. I have a new gig, probably for at least the next 4 years, if not longer. So today is not only a chance for me to share with you the past and share a story, but also to really wish the team and everyone who is and will be involved in this project well as it goes forward. I too look forward to other opportunities to share this work. And I just wanted to say that I'm feeling very full-hearted from today's proceedings so far. And I hope the team is too. and that they know that we're all here to support them as they undertake this critical work. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Lisa. We really appreciate your presence here today and for starting this project all together since the beginning. It was really great to hear the journey. Thank you.
And yep, thank you so much. It's lovely to see you again. And now it's time for another performance. Let's welcome Eve Parker Finley. Eve Parker Finley is a noted multi-instrumentalist, comedian, and upcoming indie pop superstar based in Montreal who has recently become a social media sensation in Montreal. She has been a mainstay in the Montreal indie music scene for many years, and we're so excited to have her here with us today. Please welcome Eve Parker Finley.
Hello. Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I hope everyone can hear me okay. If not, just give me a quick little message. Yeah. I'm so excited to play some music from my bedroom. As was introduced, I'm Eve Parker Finley, she, her, all three. And yeah, I'm gonna play two quick songs first. The first one is based around a field recording that I did in the forest this summer. This was like deep into COVID, and I got the chance to spend some time with a couple of friends working on music in the forest, and we spent a day just in the trees recording this audio and then creating this song around it. And then I'm going to play another song called Alone Together, which is off my album Chrysalia that came out in December. So here we go. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Parker Finley, for that amazing performance. The music is so beautiful. I truly felt transported in the first song. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to watch.
Thank you again, Eve Parker Finley. That was incredible. As mentioned earlier, one of the important components of this project is our advisory councils. Let me now introduce some members of our partner advisory council to lead us through a panel discussion on their hopes and goals for the SAFER project. Today, we have with us Andrea Proyorova from the Canadian Centre for Gender and Sexual Diversity, Rachel Patterson from Kickstand, and Jill Claro from YWCA Halifax. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the lovely invite. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I am Andrea Proyorova. I use the pronouns she and her, and I work as the Evaluations and Grant Supervisor in the Canadian Centre for Gender and Sexual Diversity. I'm sure that also known to most of you as the CCGSD. And today I'm speaking to you from the unceded and unsurrendered Anishinaabe territory. And seriously, I'm super excited to be here. First, I would like to talk to you a little bit about who the CCGSD is, like why we joined this super important project and what we expect to achieve. The CCGSD is a national youth-focused nonprofit organization that works to empower gender and sexually diverse communities through education, research, and advocacy. Our vision is to create a world free of discrimination, a world with no violence, where people can shape the decisions that impact their lives and enjoy freedoms as equal citizens. To achieve this, and these are quite pretty ambitious goals, currently we are running several educational initiatives for youth in the areas of Canadian history, comprehensive sexuality education, and diversity issues. Given our expertise and experience working with diverse 2S LGBTQ+ communities since 2005, we were excited to have been approached by Wisdom to Action to become partners on such a timely and urgent project. This project is well in line with the objectives of our organization. In the CCGSD, we believe that creating a safer Canada is impossible without enhancing the capacity of 2S LGBTQ+ organizations, and also without addressing the intersecting character of gender-based violence. It's also crucial that all of us work together to achieve this. And supporting organizations to become more inclusive with tailored training is an important step on a journey towards a more just world. And that's why the CCGSD gladly became a partner on this project. Even though remarkable progress has been made in Canada in regard to the rights of gender and sexually diverse people, considerable action is still needed to continue this effort. And it is especially true given the spike in hate crimes of 40% in the past few years and the effects of the pandemic that made many marginalized genders feel even less safe than before. We are working in a context where women and gender and sexually diverse people continue to experience disturbingly high rates of violence on a daily basis. Looking through an intersectional lens, we know that gender-based violence has a disproportionate effect and impact on queer, trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as discrimination based on gender and sexuality is often compounded with other intersecting factors, such as one's race, ethnicity, ability, class, age, or even nationality. What we want to accomplish in this project is clear. We are imagining that this 3-year effort will increase the capacity of the sector to support marginalized queer youth in order to live healthy and fulfilling lives as everyone else. We hope that more service providers will have the needed tools and the knowledge to better assist those facing real or potential violence, a situation which we know can be deadly for some. Knowledge is truly power, as the minister reminded us. As a result, we hope that more youth will feel safer and more confident about who they are. In this critical moment of time, we are excited to learn from others and work alongside other organizations to create safer public space for everyone. So thank you for this. We really, really appreciate being a part of such an amazing initiative. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn now. So hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Patterson. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm here today representing Kickstand. So I'm calling from Amiskwaciwâskahikan, which is colonially known as Edmonton, Alberta, and which is on the traditional gathering place for the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota, Sioux, and many other Indigenous peoples. So Kickstand is an Alberta-wide collaboration between philanthropic donors, service providers, young people, and parents and caregivers. And we're committed to transforming the way that young people in Alberta access health and social services. So we operate on an integrated youth services model that puts young people at the very center of care and connects them to a variety of service providers in a single, recognizable, virtual, and eventually physical location. So Kickstand was created to connect young people to services and support in the easiest way possible. And so we're doing this by offering a variety of connected services like physical health, mental health, substance use, peer support, as well as social services like housing or employment support and financial literacy, all in one virtual location. And Kickstand isn't about starting from scratch or replacing the work that many others are already so good at. And our goal is to create a sustainable system change by implementing a platform that really facilitates the ability of all of these stakeholders and service providers to work together in an integrated and connected manner. And so it involves providing equitable access to innovative, co-created and accessible services, resources, and tools that address the unique needs of young people aged 12 to 25 years. So we were really excited to be able to join Wisdom to Action Safer project and to contribute in a small way to this important work. And creating a welcoming, inclusive, and safe space for 2S LGBTQ+ young people is really at the core of the work we do. And being such a new organization, we have an incredible opportunity and indeed a responsibility to embed this into the work that we do. And the Safer Project's commitment to quality youth engagement in creating an outcome that embraces the perspective and the experiences of the people it intends to benefit really aligns closely with Kickstand's core values. So we're so excited for the opportunity to partner together as well with these other incredible organizations in doing this work and in helping to facilitate this curriculum all across Alberta with the ultimate goal of ending gender-based violence against 2S LGBTQ+ young people. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, everybody. I don't know. I guess it's me, the last one here. My name is Jill Claro. I use she, her pronouns. I am the team lead of youth programming at the YWCA Halifax here in Chibuktuk, which is located on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. For those of you who don't know, the YWCA is a global movement that started over 160 years ago as a means to meet the needs of young women in the community. And since then, it has grown to organizations all over the world. And we have actually over 30 member organizations across Canada. So here in Halifax, we recognize that things sort of have changed. And as our feminist approach has changed over the years that we've existed, we are catching up with the times a little bit and recognizing that it's not only women and girls who are affected by these oppressive gender and social dynamics, but indeed that really people all across the gender and sexuality spectrum are affected by violence and these outdated and narrow perceptions of what it means to live and to love and to be in this world. So we really are devoted to supporting anyone facing oppression in these areas. In our organization, we provide support for housing, for employment. We do lots of work in education and research and advocacy in our city here and for the people living here. And myself specifically as a supporter of youth, I personally am really dedicated to and motivated to help this generation of youth to grow up with having more opportunities to express who they are and have deeper knowledges of themselves and of their potentials. So I really think that violence and power are completely opposed to these liberation projects that we have for the youth. I believe that it's our responsibility to not only understand violence against members of the 2S LGBTQ+ community, but to actually work to equip ourselves with the skills and the resources to dismantle that violence. As everyone here knows, it's a very daunting task to think about lowering violence and freeing people and liberating and living in a freer world. And we know it's a challenge that we can't be facing alone. As many of the speakers here today have talked about, this really is something where we're stronger together. And so at the YWCA Halifax, we're really excited to be a part of this project, to be teaming up with a bunch of different organizations and people and perspectives. I'm so excited that we have a youth panel involved in this project and we can really directly be hearing from youth across the country. I think it's fantastic to get to work together for this really important work. So I think now, sort of at the end of this, of the Combahee River Collective, which was a group of young Black feminist lesbians in the 1970s. And they said that if they themselves as individuals were free, it would mean that everybody else in society would have to be free because their freedom would necessitate the destruction of all systems of oppression. And I think that this project, something like the Safer project, where we're working towards the freedom of 2S LGBT youth, it really is a mission to free all of us. It's something that we all benefit from as we move towards creating safer and better spaces for the people who are the most oppressed in our society. We all benefit from that. And I think that we can create a richer and kinder world through this. So I'm really happy to be a part of this project. And I'm just so thankful to everyone who's put their time and efforts towards this. And I'm really excited to see the outcome of this and the better future we can move towards together.
Thank you so much to our PAC members for sharing with us today. It's lovely to hear from all of you and all the incredible reasons that this is a project that you are partners with us on and that you are here to support us with and that you're part of. And now we want to open the floor for some questions, a Q&A period for our PAC members as well as Wisdom to Action team members. And so go ahead, Josa.
We will be monitoring the Q&A function in the chat to solicit your questions, so please feel free to ask us any questions.
All right, so I have the first question here. How will SAFER address and prevent gender-based violence against 2S LGBTQ plus youth during the project's implementation? And I will open the floor to any Wisdom to Action members to take on this question.
I am happy to jump in on this front. So I think the whole crux of the project very much is addressing and preventing GBV as it impacts 2S LGBTQ young folks. Some of the ways in which we're hoping that will happen, first and foremost, is to actually support organizations to better support young folks themselves who are impacted by GBV. So that includes like bringing a trauma-informed approach, understanding the unique nature of GBV as it impacts 2S LGBTQ communities. But a big part of it will be helping organizations factor this into how they work and how they operate. So how are they planning to mitigate the impact of gender-based violence? So I think for me, an example that comes to mind is if you're working with a young trans person to get housing, well, are you recognizing the fact that when you visit that landlord, there's a chance of violence or a chance of misgendering or other forms of harassment in those moments? And actually helping organizations think about that proactively so that they can check in with that person and have tools and strategies ready so that if something does go wrong, they have the capacity to intervene inclusively and effectively. And so that, I think, is part of the hope. But the other piece is building bystander intervention skills. So helping folks recognize and address GBV in the moment, build confidence and competence to intervene and support and prioritize the safety of 2S LGBTQ young folks in those moments. So I think those are a couple examples of just how GBV will be prevented through the initiative.
Thank you, Faye, for answering the question. We have another question here. I'm wondering how youth serving organizations can get involved in the project.
So I guess it's a question that I can answer. Yeah, so I will be speaking on behalf of the CCGSD and what our role is. Like I definitely cannot like speak for all other different organizations that are partner on this project. It's manifold, honestly, and we've been engaged right from the beginning. And what we are providing is our expertise and knowledge that we have gathered from working with youth like since 2005. So. Right from the beginning, we are partnering and we are involved in creating a curriculum for the training that will be implemented in different organizations across Canada. And then also, as there is a next phase, as Faye explained, there will be another phase of the project, which is more public oriented and involves creating campaigns. So also, we will be part of that, with our basically our advisory capacity. This is how we become involved. I don't know if I answered the question. I hope I did.
Yeah, I think I would just add, oh wait, sorry, we have not asked the second question yet. I jumped ahead of myself, I think. Any other folks from the panelists, any thoughts around the GBV prevention question? Okay, Ryan, I think back to you for the next question.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have a question here. How are you making sure that marginalized communities such as Indigenous, African Canadians, disabled, and refugees know about you and feel that they can get some support?
I can answer it preliminarily and maybe throw it to others, but I think part of the dream of this project is to bring as many voices together from day one and from the get-go. So that includes, ensuring that our partners and that the partners brought into this initiative do have relationships and capacity to work with diverse communities. And so I think that was very much top of mind for us as we began reaching out to potential partners and colleagues who could jump into this work with us. And the other piece is that these trainings are going to be adaptable. They are going to be trainings that organizations can adjust to their own context. And very much part of the process will be and continues to be engaging young folks from their own lived experiences and from diverse communities. Very much so that, I think a lot of the time our training really does reflect the needs of a particular set of young folks. Those are usually white folks, those are usually middle-class kids, those are usually cis folks. And so our grounding approach is very much that we don't want to do that, but we want to do this a little bit differently and find ways to make sure that communities are centered in as much of this work as possible. But I'll pass it over in case anyone else has any thoughts they'd like to throw in there.
Before we move on to our next question, do the other panelists have any answers for the previous questions?
I can just make a quick note in terms of that previous question. I know from Kickstand's perspective, a big part of our, core approach is partnering with organizations that are already doing good work. So we're not going to presume to speak for or to know about various other groups or organizations. So I think part of our commitment within this project will be to really nurture and rely on partnering with some of those organizations that maybe represent the voices of other populations that we would definitely want to include. So yeah, just to note that we will definitely rely on our partnerships in order to kind of bring some of those groups into the fold and to get their perspectives and to expand the reach of the curriculum.
Thank you, Faye, and thank you, Rachel. I think it's very important to have partners with this paper project. The next question that we have is, this is regarding the project objective of public education. Will other organizations be able to help promote or share the public education and campaign materials?
Yes, times a billion. I think the hope very much will create the campaign alongside our partners, but our hope or dream will be for organizations across the country to help mobilize it as well. All of that will be publicly available materials. So those will be tools and resources you can bring into your own organization, your own context, and put out into your own communities. And just to emphasize, we are always keen for youth serving organizations to join us in these endeavors. And so if you work with a youth serving organization, you can contact the Wisdom to Action team. You can check out our website, and we'll make sure that we paste our contact info into the chat. So please don't hesitate to reach out. If you want to be involved or if you'd like to be added to the queue for an eventual training, we are more than happy to hear from folks now, and we'll be rolling the training out in the coming months.
Thank you, Faye, for that answer. And now we have another question. I'm curious why the focus on youth for this project?
Never know when I should jump in versus shouldn't jump in. But given some of these are technical questions on the project, and I probably am fairly well positioned to answer. So the focus on young folks is very much a nod to the particular vulnerability and identity formation that happens in our teen and younger years, and recognizing that the more that we can do to support 2SLGQ young folks as young folks, the better we can set them up to succeed, to thrive, to survive. I also think it's a nod to the way that we've historically worked. We emerged as a youth engagement organization. Youth leadership has always been close to our hearts, and at the very bone, like our bones are youth engagement and meaningful engagement with young communities. And so I think those very much informed our vision for this project and are guiding the implementation that young folks need and should be centered through and through on issues that impact and matter most to them. That's not to say that older folks aren't also important, and I think there are like lessons and learnings from this project applicable to all audiences. But again, in this context, we wanted to focus on young folks in particular.
All right, I feel like we probably have time for a few more questions, waiting for a few to come in.
If I could just jump in on that last question too, I think as someone, also dedicated to working with youth, and with a project like this that specifically focuses on creating safe spaces and supporting people who are at high risk of violence, I think about the teachings of people who talk about violence and reforming our justice systems and things like that. And they often say that individuals do not come into harm or to violence the first time committing it themselves. It's normally after an experience of experiencing violence or harm against themselves that then through that and through not being able to deal with it well, they might pass it on to other people. And so the earlier we can stop that from happening and the more we can support people earlier on in their lives, it really does disrupt the trajectory of people causing more harm to other people. And so I think it's such a beautiful opportunity to specifically focus on youth and sort of stop that in its track and really shift our society to head in a different direction, because the more healing and safety we can provide for young people and to stop that violence or to prevent it from happening to them, the greater capacity that they'll have to then go on and do good in the world and not having to carry that burden of violence against themselves. And so it really is something that we do for them and for all of us and for our future, which is like a cool reason to support youth.
Thank you so much for that, Kyle. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no. It was just like energy, like actually inspired me. Yeah, totally. Like I agree with Faye and Jill. Like the youth is such a critical and important group of folks, to focus on. And as much as it is like that they will be doing good in the world, and I totally believe it's also that there is a really correlation between gender-based violence, let's say, and really bad mental health results, about the likelihood of homelessness, and about all these other issues. So where I'm really feeling like where this project is really, really like hopeful, or what is making me really hopeful about this project is that by preventing, like even gender violence from happening, you are actually preventing all these other health issues, outcomes that are actually super interrelated to the experience of gender-based violence. So hence the youth, I guess, but maybe there will be another project focusing, like on another generation of queers, and it would be as important, I would say. But I think that it's about the prevention. That's where I'm feeling like there's really like the emphasis on prevention.
Thank you so much for that, Andrea. All right, so we have another question. Roughly, what will the training look like? More specifically, will there be one universal training, or will there be options to get smaller, more specific / targeted trainings on certain issues?
That is a great question that I am also probably best positioned to answer. I would say that some of the details are still being sorted out. We've spent the last few weeks or months now planning and preparing, and are soon going to be ready to share more information about the training content, et cetera, themselves. I would say that they will be adaptable. We know that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't respond to the unique needs of different organizations, communities, or regions. And our approach to training is always discussion-based and interactive. We build in case studies and mock scenarios to help bring the wisdom and put it into action. And so our commitment would be probably like a number of different training modalities. and different training styles that would be focused both on general inclusion and on more particular aspects of inclusion, if and when needed, depending on the organization and what they're looking for.
Thank you, Faye. I think we have room for a couple of more questions if folks do have any more, and we welcome any of your questions.
All right, I think we can move on then. Thank you so much. If at any time you do have questions, we are only an email away, a DM away, on our social medias, as well as our email for the project, saferadwisdomtoaction.org. All right, and so thank you so much for, thank you everyone for your questions today. Your excitement gives us encouragement as we move forward with this project. We're just so excited to have all of you see what comes of this.
Thank you, everyone. Now, as we end our event, let's welcome back Eve Parker Finley.
Hello, it's me again. I'm gonna play a couple more songs. Thank you everyone for this event. It's been really wonderful to hear people talking about such important things, and I'm glad to participate with some music, even though I also care about these things in words. Sometimes I find it fun to express things through music as well, to add to the conversation. The two songs I'm going to play, the first one is called The Sun and the Moon, and it's based on that back in 2016, there was that day where the moon eclipsed the sun in the middle of the day. And to me, it was just this such intense experience. There were so many people outside who left work to go watch it, and I remember deeply where I was, and maybe you do as well. And it was also just such a transformational time in my life. So I'm going to play that song first, Sun and the Moon, and then I'm going to end with my song called The Rules. Yeah, here we go.
space, never use without permission. Never run, be gentle, reset the space, never use without permission.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Parker Finley. Again, another phenomenal performance. We're so happy to have you here tonight with us, or today with us, this afternoon. And that brings us to the end. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you to our Partner Advisory Council, as well as our Youth Advisory Council members for their work so far in this project and for joining us today. Thank you as well to our amazing performers, Chung Tao and Parker Finley, as well as Lisa Shantz and the Honorable Marcy Ian. Thank you to those of you who are joining us live. And lastly, thank you to our generous funders, Women and Gender Equality Canada, for making this project possible.
Yes, thank you, everyone. It's been such a pleasure to co-host this launch event. Now we want to open this space for all of you to continue this discussion in breakout rooms that we're facilitating. We also encourage you to sign up for future safer activities. We have a lot of activities lined up for you, such as training, regional and national events, public education campaigns, and so much more. Our website is now live, so feel free to check it out to keep up with the project, access resources as they become available, and to learn more about this work. We're also very active on social media. Follow us at Wisdom to Action. Contact us if you want to learn more about this project. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to jump in because I can't not to thank Rayanne and Joselle. Thank you both for hosting this event. Thank you for there's always a billion things that happen in the background, and y'all were absolutely incredible. And I couldn't have imagined a better way to launch this project. So thank you both. And thank you, Eve. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Kai. Thank you all for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Okay, I believe that brings us to a close. I think you will see safer breakout. Actually, Ryan, I imagine I can pass it back to you.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, we do have our breakout rooms. The link is just here in the slide. So www.wisdomtoaction.org/safer breakout. And you will find us there shortly.
I think that's essentially it. So I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you again, everyone. Don't hesitate to contact us. Please don't be strangers. And we're always excited to partner with y'all. And for those who are interested in attending, we'll see you in the breakout rooms in just a few minutes.
Thank you, everybody.